Okay, so when you're ready to apply glaze to your bisque-fired ceramic piece, you want to make sure there's no dust or little bits left on it. There's some little bits of paper left on this one from the paper resist that I did. So I'm just gonna gently brush it with a sponge. I'm not gonna soak it. If I get it soaked, the glaze won't stick to it. I'm gonna use this amber glaze because it's a nice transparent glaze, and it will look good over my subtle underglaze design. So you can see what it looks like over texture. And this is over black underglaze, so I have green underglaze on mine, so it'll be a nice transparent color and it'll show that right through. You want to make sure to mix your glaze really well. So we have these mixing tools, and they live over in the corner of the classroom. And you want to make sure the side of the bucket has the name of the glaze that you want on it. It's very easy to get mixed up and use the wrong glaze. And then you take your plunging tool and you push it down to the bottom of the bucket and you circle it in a circular motion and you slowly lift it upward till you get to the top of the glaze, and then you push it back down and you circle it all around. And it's very important to do this because all of the components of glaze have different weights, and the metal will sink to the bottom and the water will go to the top. If you don't do a good job mixing it, your glaze won't look right. And then once it's well mixed, there are three ways to apply glaze to ceramic work: dunking, pouring, and brushing. And dunking is what I'm going to demonstrate right now. This is the way to get the most even coating of glaze on your piece. So I have my pinch piece that I made earlier. I'm going to find a little part of it that I can hold on to really well, that will not break off. And then I'm going to take my piece and I'm going to push it down into the glaze, and then I'm going to take it out and let it drip. I'm going to do it in one swoop, and I'm not going to let it hang out in the glaze too quickly. So I'm just going to push this down, and then I'm going to take it out, and I'm just going to try to let all the glaze pour out of the little crevices of my piece. And you'll see the glaze is wet and it starts to dry fairly quickly. The one thing you do not want to do is touch it with your fingers while it's wet, because you will ruin the glaze. You want a nice even coating of glaze all over your piece, about the thickness of chocolate that you would find on a York peppermint patty. Just a nice even coating with as few drips as you possibly can. When it appears dry to the touch, you can kind of feel it and take a look, and you can see there's a couple spots here and here that I need to touch up with a brush. So I'm just going to grab a brush and I'm going to touch up those spots by dipping it in the glaze and touching it to those spots. Here's my first spot. Here's the two more spots. Like so. And then I'm going to let it dry. And then I'm just going to look at my piece and I'm going to notice which parts of my piece touch the table. I can't have any glaze on the part of my piece that touches the kiln shelf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to notice which part touches, and I'm going to remove the glaze from the piece where it actually touches. And I'm going to remove it up about 1/16 of an inch. And with this process, it's better to remove too much than not enough, because if your piece sticks to the kiln shelf, it'll ruin your piece and it will ruin the kiln shelf. So once the bottom is clean, and you're sure the bottom is clean, and you're sure there's no glaze touching the surface, you're going to bring it over to here and put it on the glaze cart over here, where we put all finished ceramic work that has been glazed. And then after we do that, we're going to come back over to our zone where we were glazing, and we need to make sure to do a good job cleaning up, because when the glaze dries, it becomes toxic for us to breathe in. So we always want to clean it right away while it's still wet. And you can just use the lid to move it over to the sink. You want to remove the glaze from all around on the mixing tool and underneath. You want to remove the glaze from the brush that you used and make sure to wash it well. And you can just rinse off the lid and try to get as much glaze off We don't want to have dried glaze kicking around. We want to try to keep the room as free from that as possible. And then we're just going to bring this stuff back over to where we were working. Make sure to put the lid back on the bucket. That will keep our glaze from evaporating and put our tools back from where we got them.